Hello, I'm Edgar from Edgar's Woodworking, and a few weeks ago I went into the local lumber yard where I generally buy my lumber from, and one of the owners there, Charlie, he saw me and said he had pulled aside a couple of boards that he wanted to give to me. They were these two boards, and they're beautiful curly maple wood. So I thought, as a thank you gift, I would make a box for him. And so today I am going to work on building him a small box. For a lot of these small woodworking projects, I don't do much for plans, but I thought I would do a sketch for you just to convey what I am doing. So I will build a box that is 4 inches tall, 6.5 inches wide, and 10 inches long. And it will have mitered corners with keys in them, and then the top will just be about a 1/2 inch bigger both directions and a small round over on the top. I think this will make an elegant looking small box. I have ripped down some of the side stock, and I made that 4 inches wide, and then I also cut them down to thickness and made that 1/2 inch thick so that it wouldn't be quite as thick of a piece on the sides. My top on my table saw, I can only rip up about 3 inches, and so the top is 7 inches wide, and so I have about an inch in the middle that I can't rip out for the thickness. So I am just going to take a chisel and we'll cut some of that out. And then I will hand plane the rest that's left in the middle. So that takes out that piece that was left in the middle, and now I will just sand that out, and that will actually bottom of my top lid. So I have my side pieces and my top cut out, and then this is a small piece of plywood for the bottom. And now I'm going to cut some grooves inside of the side pieces to accept the bottom. The bottom now fits pretty perfectly into the side. So then I will lay out my length of my side pieces, cut those to length, and 45 them. I now have my 4 pieces for the sides cut out, and this is the way they will go together. I mark out the size of my bottom by putting it into the side piece where it's going to come out at that 45, and then I will just make a mark right where that 45 hits the bottom part of this bottom. My bottom is precisely cut now, and so I will start by sanding the insides of these pieces. Because I will be sanding the outside of the box, once it's all together, I only have sanded the inside of the box at this point, and the bottom, I have sanded both the inside and the outside of the bottom, because once you put it together on the bottom here, it will be very difficult to sand in along through here. So I wanted to sand the bottom of the box also. I have dry fitted the box together just to make sure that everything will go together well. And then when I glue up, I will only use some tape to hold the glue joints together, as if your joints are accurately cut, you won't need to have a lot of pressure to hold or to pull things together. I will put some glue into the groove here to hold the bottoms in. Places where I feel I need a little bit more clamping power, I will put another piece of tape here. And so I will put this aside now and let it dry. Now while the glue is drying, I will concentrate on sanding the top and routering off the edges of it. So now that I have my top sanded, I will begin routering the edges on it. The top has all been sanded now, and the edges have all been routed with a rounding over bit, and so this top is ready for assembly. So now my box has dried up enough, so I'm going to take the tape off of it, and we'll do a little bit of sanding, just enough to smooth things out, and then I will cut the grooves on the corners for my keys. I have a jig here which I have made up for a prior project, and I will reuse the jig for this project. I'm going to start with the middle key, which is going to want to be about 2 inches from the edge, because this is 4 inches, so I'll put a key at 1 inch, and then another one at 2, and then another one at 3, which will be same as 1 inch from this side. Set this up at about 1 inch from the edge to cut out the keys for both sides and the other side. I will now cut the remaining keys out. So this is what the final cutouts look like. So in my scrap pile I found a piece of Meranti which will contrast quite nicely with the maple. So I cut that out on my table saw and we'll make up a bunch of small pieces out of it to fit into that. So now the keys are glued in and I will let them dry and then sand them out. So now we are at that stage where we start sanding and more sanding and more sanding. And when you think you have it all sanded, you can sand some more. Now the box is all sanded. The edges are nice and silky smooth. Top is all sanded and routed and finished. I will set the hinges and then we'll hinge the top. The edges are nice and silky smooth. I turn the box upside down and trace where it's going to go on the edges of the top. Then I will mark where these hinges will go. I want them 1/2 inch away. Into the top, I will only pre-drill these holes and set the hinge on top of the top. And then I will mortise in where the hinge is going to go on the box. I am marking with tape the depth that I want the screw hole to be, so I do not want to drill through the top. Success! I have drilled the holes and not drilled through the top. These screws are brass, they're very soft and they're very fragile, so you need to pre-drill them fairly close to the size that they are and then just hand drive them in. Then I will set it down, line up my top with the marks that I have. And I will make some marks on the side of my hinge as to where I'm going to want these mortises to go. I have marked with a pencil where my hinges will go, and now I will cut out around it with a knife, as I want it to be very accurate where that mortise is going to go. With cutting out these mortises, you want a super sharp chisel. That one looks pretty good at this point. I will once again drill for the screws. Now that my holes are drilled for the screws, I will put my screws in. So now the top is hinged. I like to hand sign all my work, so I will do that on the bottom. I'm going to use this tung oil finish, which I have poured some out in this cup, and I will brush it on, and then I will leave it set and will wipe it down. The oil finish brings out the contrasts in the maple and the Meranti. So after the finish has soaked in for about an hour, you want to wipe all the excess oil off, all the surfaces. With a tung oil finish, you will want to give it several coats and keep wiping it down between coats. And as always, with any of these oil finishes, you want to dispose of your rags properly, as they could cause spontaneous combustion. Now that the finish has all dried, I will mount the hinges back on and we'll finish the box up. Now the box is all finished, and I am pleased with the way it has come out. I think it is a very simple and elegant box. So if you have enjoyed this video of me building this box, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.